This is Taekwondo Lesson 13 on Won-Hyo Hyung. Won-Hyo was a noted monk who introduced Buddhism into the Silla dynasty in 686 AD. Won-Hyo was extremely influential, and they wrote about 80 volumes, 240 of which were fascicles or commentaries on Buddha, life, and nature. Buddhism would eventually spread to Japan in the 8th century and blend with Shinto, which would have a tremendous influence on samurai culture, samurai thought, and philosophy. The occupation period in Korea was from 1910 to 1945. This is an actual picture of the annexation treaty. The Japanese annexed Korea primarily because of resource allocation and trying to expand into that part of the world. During that time, if you were a young Korean and you wanted to further your education, you often had to leave Korea to do it and go to Japan. That's where we see this cross-cultural influence between the Japanese karate style, Shotokan, with Gichin Funakoshi, and the Korean martial arts styles like modern Taekwondo. There's definitely a huge influence between these two styles. I'm told, however, that often Koreans would be refused from training because they were Korean, and in some books that I've read, they were offered training. So this is a point that is debatable. But what's not debatable is when you look at this form pattern that Gichin Funakoshi is performing at this point, you see the cross, block, break, punch, multiple pseudos, spear hand, all very similar to Won-Hyo pattern, which we perform today in the Chang Han series in Taekwondo. This is Won-Hyo pattern performed. At the beginning of the pattern, you see the open hand and the fist, which is Chinese symbolism for I bear no weapons. There is a relationship between the Koreans and the Chinese. Interestingly, in Japan at that time, karate early on meant Chinese hand. Karate was later changed to mean empty hand, part and parcel due to the militarism that was rampant within Japan at that time. You can see this also in Korean martial arts, Tang Sudo, Tang meaning China, Su hand, Do way. So Karate Do, Chinese hand way, Tang Sudo, Chinese hand way. The similarities in these patterns between Heian and Won-Hyo are interesting to note historically, and of course, are always open for academic discussion. There's often debates in regard to the applicability of practicing kata or Korean hyungs. I like to think of it in Western terms from the standpoint of the hyung practice is much like shadow boxing in Western boxing, very applicable. It's interesting to note historically that when MacArthur took over in Japan in 1945, one of the first things that the Americans did was similar to what the Japanese did. They outlawed the practice of martial arts, specifically judo and kendo. A professor from Waseda University went to MacArthur's staff on behalf of Karate Do, arguing that karate was like a gentleman's sport similar to boxing, except it involved kicks and punches. Weintraub, pictured here, who was on MacArthur's staff, bought off on this idea and allowed Karate Do to continue to be practiced within the university systems. That opened the door for martial arts in the future, like Karate Do and Taekwondo, to be popularized around the world. Guys, this is Dane Harden with Dane Harden Martial Arts on YouTube. Thanks for watching. If you haven't already liked and subscribed, please do so now. Please stay tuned for our next video, which is Lesson 14 on Yul Cook of the Taekwondo Changhon Hyung series.